Today's episode of The Chop Shop is brought to you by our good folks over at Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code The Chop Shop at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using the code The Chop Shop.
It's crazy. Welcome to The Chop Shop. I am Eddie James. Sitting next to me is my brother from another mother. Fastest hands in all the goddamn tri-state. You heard. Yeah. VIP. Very Italian person. DJ React.
Yes, sir. What's up?
What up? Man, today or tonight, we got one of the illest. This musician is a veteran in the music industry. Over 20 years in the game. This producer is definitely truly for the culture, as he is an educator, giving back to the community. He has a program, nonprofit program, but more importantly, we're going to talk music. And he has one of the illest head bobs in history. For real. Ladies and gentlemen, at the Chop Shop, we have Kuddie Fresh, Kfresh, y'all.
Kfresh. Killing the Instagram.
Yes.
What up? What's up, man? Appreciate you.
Salute.
Oh, man.
Man, I am so excited. Yeah, we excited.
You know, it's funny. You know who put me on to you? You don't know him, but our mutual friend by the name of Matt, he sent me, we started this show, and he was like, yo, you got to get this motherfucker on your show. I was like, he sent me one of the reels, and I was like, this dude is just insane with it. And then it was like I was stuck down a wormhole, bro, just looking at all the reels, man.
Word. Shout out to Matt.
Craziness.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matty.
Well, you got to do that again. Because my best friend, Steve Pace, my homie, best friend since 1978, third grade, he actually was like, yo, this dude, he sent me like an Instagram of you. It's not the first time I seen you. And I was like, I already know he's dope, but he sent me, he was like, yo, you got to get him on your show. And I was like, yeah, you fucking right. Like, Kfresh is super dope, man. And we really appreciate you coming on to the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Man. I didn't think you were going to respond. I thought I was like, yo, there's no way this motherfucker's going to look and respond. And
well, that was you. I was React. I'm having React use his white privilege. Stupid. To get to the masses and shit. Like, he's going to bring us to the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, so looks a little bit more professional as me hitting you up like, hey, my guy, you know, he came with all the formal stuff. I don't even know what he emailed you, but it worked, and I'm very happy that you came, man. Sure. Real quick, it is amazing, React, that
I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 Seattle producers.
Yeah.
On the Chop Shop. Like literally, man.
Coincidence too. Well, 2 of them weren't really a coincidence because 2 of them are homies. Yeah.
So we had the homie Jake 1 and Vitamin D on.
Eric G
we had on, and just recently we had Agent M. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so
legends.
The water, like, people, the water in up in the
northwest
is it must be insane, because, man, some of the dopest musicians / beat makers, producers, man. And really happy to have you, man. So shouts to Seattle, for real.
Is that where you're at now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Seattle.
That's
okay.
What's up?
Dope. So real quick, man, like, I mean, I would love for you to tell us about your story, your musical background. I saw that your mother was heavily and got you influenced with gospel music and everything. Was she in the church choir or anything like that?
Yeah, my mom was in church choir. My grandma, she basically had that household where everybody was going to church. My mom had me young, but my mom and dad were in church when I was born, and so I just kind of ended up in church probably for like the first 10, 11 years of my life, and playing drums in church is kind of where it started for me.
Can you give me like, cause I grew up in the church and my mother was in the church choir as well. What years are we talking about? Like in the church? Like, I don't want you to date yourself.
The 80s.
Okay. So at the same time, man, like, you know, were you singing like, bring in energy, bring in energy, we shall come rejoicing, bring in energy. Yeah, you know, you were singing the old school songs and shit. Like, man, we had everything. Like,
you're gonna tell the pull up to my bumper story now?
Oh yeah. Like, I told the story just recently, man, that I grew up with the Jones family. Pastor Noel Jones, you know, who has a huge congregation out in LA, and Grace Jones, her father was my pastor.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So he was, you know, I'll say it again. Like, he was telling us that if we don't get a life right, we're going to burn in the pit of fire.
Yeah.
I'm like, what about your daughter? She's talking about pull up to the bumper. Like, what is that? I didn't understand. I was confused. It's like, scared to go to church, but after a while, like, she showed up with Dolph Lundgren. Like, you know, Dolph Lundgren, the motherfucker from Rocky and shit.
The Russian?
I swear to God, yeah. They drove, like he was in church. But I understand the whole church vibes, man. Like, that's how I started, man, listening to stuff like Andre Crouch and, you know, the Hawkins family, you know, Edwin Hawkins, Jermaine Hawkins, you know, obviously, you know, like Philadelphia Mass Choir, stuff like that, man. I grew up on all of that, man, for real.
Yeah, definitely on the Winans.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, Philip Hammond. Is it Philip Hammond? Yeah, Philip Hammond.
Fred Hammond.
Fred Hammond, thank you. Yeah. Actually, we recorded the same studio in Detroit for a little bit, Studio A. But yeah, man, just so that was your first influence. How about your dad?
Yeah, my dad was a drummer. And he played saxophone and was like a real like jazz type of cat. But I didn't really grow up with him. So it was one of those things where, like, you know, you'd see him every once in a while, and then he'd be missing for a little bit. But that influence was still there. He was a cool type cat, you know what I mean? Always had like a Eldorado or a Tornado, and like,
oh yeah, fly shit,
dressed in suits and listen to Najee and Gerald Albright and
oh shit, yeah,
you know, just a real like jazz fly cat.
Yeah, and
so a lot of that influenced me too.
That's like dating. Like, I mean, you just said, man, you just struck a chord with me, like with Najee and Gerald Albright, because that was about 87. I'm gonna say 87, like when they were really hot, like especially Gerald Albright. He came out with like a rendition of like So Amazing, and that was super fire, and that's when Kenny G actually put out a decent album. He had Dual Tunes, which was like produced by Kashif, and that shit was kind of fly too, before he got all sappy.
Yeah.
So you pick up the drums from your pops, basically.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I never got taught how to play the drums.
Okay.
I don't even have like any formal training in anything that I've learned musically. It was just something that I picked up on, and I played drums until my mom kind of left the church, or, you know, we moved out of grandma's house, and then, you know, along with that, she stopped going to church, and then that's when I kind of got more introduced to secular music, and, you know, we was in the hood, and things got different.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what, man, like, man, we can go out on a wormhole with you know, with stuff like that, because I grew up similar, you know, having conflicting ways, you know, at first, you know, especially when, you know, at a young age, I was listening to gospel, but it was hip hop all day for me. You know, I'm first generation hip hop, like literally. And I was a DJ. So I had a pastor telling me that, you know, you get your life right, you know, listen to all this, you know, kind of music. But in my heart of hearts, I'm just like, man, like the music is the gift. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So like, how can it be bad? You know, it's just somebody expressing their feelings. So my mom and dad let me rock, man. Like, were your parents hard on you, like early on with secular music?
Nah, it was really my grandma. Yeah, it was just one of those things where at my grandma's house, she wasn't going for it. But once we weren't living with my grandmother, my mom was listening to both. She, you know, she still would listen to gospel music, but she's definitely listening to Anita Baker, Shirley Murdoch, Zapp and Roger. Yeah. She started dating the Dope Boy, and then that's when Easy and NWA and Too Short came into the house.
Oh man,
it varied, man. Like growing up, the different type of music definitely varied from place to place because I moved around a lot. You know, I'd be with my grandma, I'd be with my mom, I'd be with my dad. My dad's side of the family was a totally different side of the family. Like I would go and stay with my auntie for the summer on my dad's side, and that was a whole nother monster. So it was a lot of different music, like being introduced to
bad or good, or were you able to, you know, to do your thing musically when you were with your auntie, or was it just like, you know, was it super strict?
Well,
attention, basketball fanatics. It is game time. That's right. NBA season is back. You already know. Knicks tape all day long, but it's okay. Even if you're not a Knicks fan, we got an MVP slam dunk for you this season. That's right. Our friends over at Manscaped, they just put out some game-changing stuff. This trimmer is 100% your new MVP. It's going to give you that nothing but net feeling once you're done. The brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped. Do not be the guy who fouls out in the grooming department. Be the guy that scores 20% off and free shipping with the code TheChopShop at manscaped.com. Get the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and get your grooming game in championship form. Let me break down the play-by-play for you real quick. Inside this package, the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This is their 5th generation trimmer. It has 2 interchangeable blades. It's 2 razors in one. There's a standard blade for taking a little bit off the top, and their new foil blade, which will keep you nice and smooth wherever you decide to shave. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra also features dual LED spotlights. That is right. You could shave your balls in the dark. Trust me, I tried it the other day in complete darkness. No nicks, no cuts. Complete darkness, smooth balls. Don't forget, if you're taking it on the go, Manscaped's got you covered. This puppy comes with the travel case already. It even has a travel lock feature on the device itself to avoid any accidental powering and weird looks at the airport. We are on the cutting edge of cutting pubes, people. Upgrade your ball trimmer and your life will follow. Once again, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TheChopShop at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with our code TheChopShop at manscaped.com. I could promise you, you've never seen a ball trimmer look like a spaceship. This thing is a spaceship. Get yours today from our folks over at Manscaped.
At that time, I still was just trying to beat on stuff. I was just still trying to play drums. I didn't really get into like trying to produce until later. So really it was just like listening to records and scratching on the record, not really knowing what I was doing, but just kind of looking at the influence from watching Crush Groove and stuff like that. And
dope. I saw that you had your influences included LL and Run DMC, and then I saw the Fat Boys, and I was I was heavenly, I think they're a group that the reactors looked at his face. He's like, nah, I can't really.
Fat boy.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Like real talk, like Fat Boys were for a hot pocket in time. They were like super dope, like for real.
Yeah.
I forgot their name before they were
Disco 3.
Thank you. They were called the Disco 3 before that. Look at you, man. Look at this, man. I got CTE, so I play a little football on my days. So you guys have to mind me and shit.
Oh man, there's stuff that I don't remember either. That just happened to be one of them.
No, but that's definitely one of them I should have remembered because their first record was like Disco 3, but they were actually dope. And then all of a sudden, like I think after the movie Orderlies, it was just like, all right, it was kind of mid and it was over with.
Well, and that's the thing is like Crush Groove, Disorderlies, those were movies I was watching over and over. And then, speaking about my auntie again, like at my mom's house, we was broke. We didn't have cable. We didn't have a VCR, but at my auntie's house, she had a VCR, floor model TV at that time. That was the biggest TV you could have. And she had a VCR. I know you was like, yeah. And we go over there, man, and she'd have House Party and Disorderlies, Crush Groove, Beat Street, like all of that stuff I seen over at her house. And at that time, like we was easily influenced by the stuff that we were seeing on TV. So like me and my cousins, we kind of like mirrored a rap group without really even having no type of aspiration of really being a rap group, but just just the swag of it all, and like just being influenced by what we were seeing visually.
Yeah, and that's hip hop. I mean, it's hip hop because I did the same thing. I mean, I was DJing at the age of 10, like for real DJing at the age of 10. The young dude with the 45s, and I got block parties and shit like that. But super influenced by it. But when I heard Run DMC, man. I mean, Curtis Blow, it was always Flash first of all, the record just that got me was like The Adventures of Grandmaster Flash, where he took like it was like the first, it was almost like a master mix and it was on vinyl, right? And he was cutting everything from Good Times, start off with Blondie, Rapture, the Good Times, and then just like Spoon and G, stuff like that. But that's when I was hooked, man. But like, I get what you're saying. Like I really want to be Run DMC. Like they came in the game and they were like, the dirt, fedora hat with the Adidas and shit. That shit was fresh. I was like, man, this is what. So did you start as a DJ, MC, or anything like other? I mean, you were a musician already, but, did you dabble into anything before production?
I wanted to be a rapper.
So you're rhyming?
Yep. So I started rapping probably like my freshman year in high school. And it was really just a bunch of whack freestyle. I wasn't writing nothing at the time. Probably maybe a year later, I had met some cat. And I met him at a house party and like, again, was just freestyling at the party. And he had a little setup at his crib, and he was like, you're gonna have to start writing if you want to memorize like what you want to do. And then so I started.
That's Eddie's ringtone. Sorry about that.
Yeah, my bad, man. Shouts to Spice Adams. my phone went off. Jesus, it was my father-in-law. That's all right. My bad. I just turned it down.
Yeah, so that's pretty much where it started. And then in my sophomore year in high school, I ended up getting put in the band playing drums, but I didn't know how to read music. There was only two drummers though. So what ended up happening was my band teacher had me playing on a set instead of on the line. And because I didn't know how to read music, but ultimately I could keep rhythm and was basically a better drummer than the alternative. Right. He just had me playing on the set. And after band practice, like my band practice was the last period in school. There was this cat that used to come into the band room and he had a sequencer. I don't even remember what kind it was, but he had a sequencer, but he would just play, just like piano phrases or whatever, just sequencing on it. And one day he asked me to like put some drums to what he was doing, and he showed me how to use a sequencer. And that was like the first time that I ever even knew like, I could record drums on the keyboard. It's how I thought of it. And that kind of like sparked the idea of like, I could like make a beat or something. But it still didn't happen for me until a little bit later. But like that was the beginning of me actually being interested in it.
So I guess that brings me to I guess the next question. I mean, we need a funky equipment story. So what kind of, we know everybody started with some janky ass equipment, or
definitely
running pause tapes
some
and all
struggling
that
stuff.
stuff. Well, so I definitely did pause tapes, and that was even before high school, and then probably a little bit after my sophomore year, I was doing pause tapes and rapping on karaoke machine. And like recording, like I would do the pause tape. I take the end of. I remember there was this section on DJ Quick's "Safe and Sound." At the end of something for the mood. I think that's what it was called, something for the mood or something for the groove. And he had let the beat play for however many bars. They just got off at the end, and I looped that part and would basically do the pause tapes and then record that over on the little karaoke machine, a little dual cassette karaoke machine.
Wow. So I mean, that's some new shit right there, because I mean, we all have like there's been producers on here. We've all pause taped. But I have never heard of anybody karaoke shit like, I didn't even know that the pause like carried over. But I think about it now. Yeah, I mean that was a dope way of doing it too.
Yeah, I actually have one of those karaoke machines now. I ended up the reason I got it is because it had this feature on it that you could kind of get the vocals out of the way. So you put the CD in, and you could kind of. You can hear the vocals a little bit, but it's like somehow it turns it all the way down.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I was using that to sample. But
first generation stems.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen some shit like that before.
I haven't either. Oh my God. Hold on for a second. You guys.
That's crazy. Wow.
I'm about to lose I forgot to plug in my computer. Don't mind me, yeah. It's all good. Reacts like this motherfucking guy.
He don't care. You know why, Kay? Because I do all the post production. He don't do shit.
he talking shit now because you're the first artist that he got. Stop it.
Second. Charlemagne came on.
All right, true.
Yeah, you give me 2 out of the 20 that we did.
Yeah, so far. So stop it. I guess I'll ask you the question too. I guess leading that as a nice little segue from the pause tapes into your first influences and and equipment. Like what was the first machine that you really had that you were sequencing and doing and beat making?
Yeah, the Roland XP50, and how I ended up using it was I was still rapping, and then I had met my son's mom's brother was rapping, and I met him. He introduced me to my homeboy Will, my big homie. He actually like came into my life, and that's a whole nother story. But Will had an XP50, and the homie K Boogie had an XP50, and we would go over there to their crib. And, I was still trying to rap. So me and him formed like a little rap group. And they had one. It was kind of the same thing. Like, I knew how to play drums. So I got the opportunity to program some drums for the homies. And from there, kind of fast forward, once I got a little bit of money, that was just the first thing that I wanted to get was an XP50 because I learned how to use it from them. So I ended up buying a used one. And I didn't know how to sample or none of that. So I was making all my beats on there, like just whack keyboard beats that had all of the sounds that was in the bad boy era at that time.
Just Triangle and the Celeste and all that stuff.
No, the nylon guitars.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Any crews that you were down with? You know, were you down with any legendary Seattle groups?
I wouldn't say we were legendary because we never really got to put nothing out like that. We had one album, but we was called 206 Family. And then my cousin's rap group was SOTG, Sons of the Ghetto. And I was the little homie to their groups. But we had, you know, underground CDs, you know what I mean? Like back when disc makers was popping.
Yeah.
You know, we go and press up 1,000 of them, and that was just kind of how we did our thing. But I was still the little homie. I think at that point I'm still probably like 19 years old.
That puts everything in perspective for me, like as far as your age and everything. Man, when I hear your music, it's slapping right off the bat. I won't label it East Coast because, you know, it's just good music. It's not East Coast anymore. I mean, we got guys in the Midwest and Detroit with slappers and out West here too. Any early influences, like as far as that goes, like when you really started getting into it, I'm not talking about Fat Boy, obviously, you're early, but I'm talking about, like any producers that really inspired you, especially being from, up in Seattle. I mean, there's so many influences. You got the West Coast right there. Yeah, I mean, shit, you even had Sir Mix-a-Lot, which is not to be taken, I heard he was super gangster with it. You know what I'm saying? But
what's ill is Sir Mix-a-Lot's from my neighbor. My mom went to high school with Sir Mix-a-Lot. He's from the district. He grew up in by the Bryan Manors, which when I was a baby, my mom lived in the Bryan Manor. So like the Sir Mix-a-Lot that the masses knows is a little different than the Sir Mix-a-Lot that I think anybody who was growing up in Seattle around that time knows. But to answer your question, my earlier influences were definitely West Coast. So, because like if you know anything about Seattle, like we kind of like gravitate towards Bay Area music a lot. So just West Coast music in general, I'm listening to like E40, RBL Posse, Totally Insane.
Oh yeah,
11-5, like
Too Short.
Yeah, Too Short. Again, like my mom's boyfriends was listening to Too Short, Eazy-E. So like around the time that I'm starting to get into music production, like my influences were definitely West Coast, and so it was definitely.
I'm glad you said that because like, were you conflicted because your origins were Run DMC and it was East Coast hip hop. Well, it was hip hop but there was still hip hop out on the West Coast at the same time. And then you were influenced by, West Coast stuff. Like when you sat down to work on stuff, like your earlier stuff, was it West Coast based? Like a lot of.
Yeah, it definitely sounded West Coast, but I didn't know no better. Like I don't even think by the time I was actually trying to create music for myself that I was really even influenced by the earlier stuff that I liked. It was more me trying to emulate what I was listening to at the time, which was more Battle Cat and DJ Quick. And so like my early stuff was really more like West Coast like that. And then one of my cousins, he was a rapper and in our little rap crew, but Vitamin D was one of the producers that he worked with. And when he took me to the studio and I saw Vita make beats, it totally changed the way that I understood, how to make sounds. I had never seen nobody take sounds from records. I had never seen nobody sample a record or pull a sound from a record, like all of that. For the first time ever in my life, I had seen Vitamin D do it. And then that kind of changed how I understood production, and I wanted to get an MPC after that. I actually wanted to get an ASR 10, and my cousin let me borrow his, and I tried to carry it down to Vitamin D Studio one time, and that was the heaviest shit ever. So because my grandma lived in Seattle in the Central District, you know, there's the Valley, and like where Vitamin's studio was in the Valley, and then I'm up off of Cherry at my grandma's house, and I tried to carry it because it ain't a walk if you don't got a big ass ASR 10. But then I was like, I'm about to get an MPC. It's easier to carry around.
So basically, you used the ASR 10 for a little bit.
Yeah, I probably used it for a month or so because it was my cousin's. He let me use it, and then I was like, nah, I'm not getting one of these. This shit's too big. And you had to load each disc. So like, you know, every sound that you wanted, we had to load a disc. So the chord, the keys would be on one disc, the drums would be on one disc. And
I
with
can't
the
say I've never
XP50,
used
you
it.
could just load one disc and your whole sequence and all your sounds would be in internal memory.
What MPC did you start off on? So you copped the MPC?
Yeah, I got a 2000 XL. The first one that I ever used was actually a 2000. It was in my uncle's studio. That's the reason I even really wanted to get one.
So your uncle was doing music too?
My uncle, just another fly cat, man. He always had a studio of some sort since I was little. He always had beats. He always had a filthy ass ride, and he was a DJ, and you know he ended up building a studio. I started a rap group with my auntie and one of the homies from the South End, and he ended up building a studio. So he ended up putting an XP60 in there so I could use that in an MPC 2000, got Pro Tools and everything. And we recorded an album with him, and his homies like funded the album. And that was kind of like the first time that I ever produced like a record and actually like was hands-on with songwriting and putting together songs. And
I would pay money to listen to that album.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. I can't even listen to it.
If I can play you and listen, man, I'm sorry, Seth. That's my cousin. He is the heartbeat. He's one of the illest MCs ever, Seth Marcel. But if I were to play you some of our stuff, oh my God, it's just cringeworthy. Yeah. But he was ahead of the game. He was doing DOS Effect shit, triple tongue stuff, you know, way before Jay-Z and DOS Effects was doing it. He was really doing that shit. But yeah, I get it, but I still would like to hear them joints, man.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, the production's bad, the raps are bad. It's just really bad. And what's ill is, again, because of the disc makers area, we definitely printed up copies. We was on Seattle local radio. The record, it was in Tower Records and all the little mom and pop shops around here, and people was playing it throughout the summer. We was doing shows, but like when I look back on it and I hear it presently, I'm like, it's got to be like some of the worst music I've ever created.
Yo, it's got to be somewhere on the line. I'm gonna find that shit on YouTube.
I'm not gonna lead you to it, but if you find it,
some it is. Oh man, this is great. So moving forward, man, J Hen, Henny, Dow Jones, The Business. I did not know that you were involved with that up until recently. Speak to how you met them and your journey from Seattle to Atlanta. How'd you get there?
So I met Jay Hen through my homeboy Parker. And Parker was a rapper, and him and my daughter's mom went to high school together. And when me and my daughter's mom we basically started messing around when we were young teenagers, and we had reconnected when we became adults. And one night she was like, come over to my friend's house with me. Her boyfriend's a rapper. And I'm like, hell no. Like, I don't know these niggas. Like, I'm from the CD and I'm out here in Kent. Like, you're not just taking
Where's
me
the
to
setup?
House. Like, yeah. So I'm like,
Right.
nah, I'm not going over there. And at that time, my little record was out, and I definitely thought I was the hottest. Like, wasn't nobody better than us. So
Yeah.
anyway, she ends up talking me into going over there.
Yeah.
And he's like, you smoke? At the time I did. So he's like, let's go to the store. Let's get a swisher. Let's blow one. And I'm like, all right. And he's playing his CD. And I was like, who's this? And he was like, it's me. And I was like, who made the beats? And he's like, it's my homeboy Jay Hen. Jay Hen was out in LA at the time. And I was like, man, this is fire. Like, low key in my head, I was like, these cats is better than me.
Yeah.
But like, these was the first
That's
cats
okay,
that I
though.
heard locally. At that time, I was like, yo, y'all sound like, because their sound was really like around the time of Rockefeller and like Just Blaze and Kanye. Like, they had samples that sounded like that, and they had records that sounded like what was on the radio. And I had never heard nobody locally that sounded like something I heard on the radio. And so I started inviting Parker to come to like shows that we was doing, and, you know, just taking them to my uncle's studio and recording, and like, you know, just bringing them with me to places that I was doing shows locally and stuff like that. And he introduced me to Jay Hen. He's like, you know, come out to LA with me. I'm about to go record with Jay Hen. And I went out to LA with him and got on some of their records. And then, you know, we just kind of formed a bond like that. And then I want to say it was probably like 5 years after that, Jay Hen ended up getting signed. I think his first, don't quote me, but I think his first deal was like to Sha Money or something like that. I think the business had started working with Sha Money, and he had got
That
the 50 Cent placement.
Sha Money.
And then like they had a record with 50 Cent, and I did like Follow My Lead and stuff like that. I was still in Seattle, and then they ended up moving to Atlanta. And one summer, for whatever reason, I was going to Atlanta to kick it with Jay Hen. And then he was like, you know, we got a little situation here if you want to come out and, you know, get down with us. And I was like, hell yeah. I ain't doing nothing in Seattle but getting in trouble. So I moved to Atlanta.
You already had you had the slappers by then, right? By that time,
I wouldn't say it was really slapping at that time. It still wasn't.
Nah, you had.
It wasn't really that good to me.
I think you're being a little modest, man.
Looking back at it, but I feel like Jay Hen really gave me an opportunity to see the industry for what it was and really start approaching my career from a more like, if you want to make it for real, like you really got to step it up. And I think that's where it started.
Yeah.
He's probably, so like how I really attribute my production evolving as far as like sampling and learning how to really put together beats. I look at Jay Hen as the guy who showed me how to make songs, how to make records, and make records that appeal to people outside of my friend circle. And you know, really grab the ear of an A&R and, you know, possibly get placements and stuff. They gave me my opportunity to work with T-Pain. They gave me the opportunity to co-produce on the Chris Brown record. All of that came through the business.
I mean, the list goes on. I mean, there's Neo, you know, there's Drake, you know, there's Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, there's Buster. I mean, Gucci Mane.
And that's the thing too, is like we were producing for a lot of different people. So my style still wasn't really defined. I hadn't found my style. But the whole time I was in Atlanta, I was trying to make trap beats because I felt like that's what was going to give me placements. So I'm working with them and trying to make stuff that would appeal to the radio. Yeah, because at the time I had to leave Seattle. I had to make it in the music business. And it wasn't something that at the time I was conflicted with in terms of like, I don't make these type of beats, because I hadn't defined what type of beats I make. I just really was still, you know, trying to figure it out in terms of like, what type of music do I like versus what type of music do the people that I'm trying to get to pay me for like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
It was like, if this is what's going to get the placements, then I'm gonna make these trap beats, but they were trash too.
I don't think they were trash. I mean, they weren't trash. They had like, like I don't believe that. Like I think when we are as producers put in a situation where we have to, I guess, quote unquote, dumb it down, we can do that sonically, but in your heart of hearts, like you're still adding, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, you're still adding a bit of you into those records.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I tried a lot of stuff, and that's probably why I say it's trash, because when I listen back to it now, I just hadn't found myself yet. I still hadn't found the thing that was really me and like my sound, but I was trying stuff, and I definitely was like experimenting and trying to make sure that at the least I wasn't copying what everybody else was doing.
Well, you don't sound like nobody. Like, nope. Trust me. You really don't, man. Like you said trap music, and then like you come from West Coast, and then there's just the head nod shit. Were you always doing that? Just boom bap type shit? Like your drums are super crazy. When did that K-Fresh come along?
It started when I was in Atlanta. And it was the stuff that I was doing when I wasn't getting placements, when I wasn't trying to work on placements. It was the music that I was making that just nobody was hearing. It was the stuff that I wasn't putting in the folders when somebody would ask me, like, send me some beats. I think at some point, while I was still trying to make sure that I never was just leaning on the business, I started putting out beat tapes on Bandcamp. And it was resonating, like, you know, blogs was picking them up, and I think that's how I started to identify like what my sound was, because it was the stuff that I enjoyed making the most.
Any influences from that boom bap type, like from there? Before
I left to Atlanta, around the time that I was probably still about to go to Atlanta, I was listening to, like, there was a compilation, I think it was a compilation, it was an album called Caltroit.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Black Milk on it.
Bishop Lamont and all that. Yeah,
yeah. So like, I was listening to a lot of Focus, Black Milk, High Tech, and DJ Khalil, and Vitamin was a real big influence. But I never wanted to copy his sound. I think I just always was studying his texture and studying the swing and his ability to like take records and make
we already talked about
just like this is crazy, and like I've always aspired that. So I think like all of those people kind of influenced my sample based production.
Man, like it's funny, man, because we had Vita on, obviously, and just like,
and Focus too.
We have Folk on, so it's funny, man, because I can't even put. There is no style to Vitamin shit, man. Vitamin is just like I already told him. I was like, you know, like how can you chop a sample the way you do, and then you know. But he was like, he told us, like, he was like, him and Jake were like first generation stems. They had the stems, period. They manipulated the stuff, man. But I see it now and I hear it. But you definitely have your own sound. Any imitators out there that do you have issues with?
You're making people on blast.
I don't care about that. Okay.
I wouldn't even say nothing like that.
Okay. Like, do you feel a way?
Have me fighting with somebody because it's something on the internet.
I'll tell you one thing, though. You are so consistent, man, with the content. Everything is so organized on Instagram. And outside of the production stuff, I mean, the production is cool. The music is dope. But, like, at the end of the day, it comes down to your brand, man. And, like, you do an impeccable job with your socials.
How'd you do it?
How do you stay consistent with that stuff?
Yeah, well, I had the nonprofit. I was working in the nonprofit space, and when COVID happened,
level up youth, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When COVID happened, we couldn't go into the schools no more, and we were trying to figure out how to put the beat program online, and it just wouldn't work out. So I ended up basically getting laid off because we lost our funding. And I was like, well, let me just start putting music out on the internet.
The Great Reset.
And for a minute, it wasn't even really like I had a plan besides just like, let me start putting the beats on there. But it started working out. I just started like trying to figure out ways to make it better. Like I bought a new camera because my first videos were horrible in terms of quality. So I first was doing it with just the camera and the camera audio. Then I started learning how to route my audio into my camera. Then I changed my camera up, and then I learned about lighting, and I just kept trying to figure out ways to make it better.
Sound familiar, React? Like Stolen, him and Stolen Drums?
Yeah,
like,
him and Stolen Drums come from the same cloth.
Upper
Actually,
echelon.
I think Stolen Drums, I have to like take my hat off to him because he was the first person that I seen doing it the way that I do it. So, he definitely has an influence on format in terms of like looking at somebody who had the quality that I aspired to have. Like, you know what I mean? Like just seeing his quality visually and the way his audio was coming through, I was like, that's how you need to get it.
It's very important, man. Shouts to Stolen, man. It's very important, man. Like presentation. First of all, the music speaks for itself. We don't care if the shit is super grainy. If it's slap, it's slap, But the fact that you have just the ambiance in the background and just the quality.
The videos playing and shit in the corner. I know that shit's on purpose, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always watching a movie when I'm creating. So it first started being intentional to put kung fu flicks in the videos.
Right.
But then I just started running out of flicks that I was actually watching, and then I was like, I'm just start playing like whatever it is that I'm watching at the time.
Porn music. Pornhub.
Ooh. Yikes.
No, that's like
this guy, man.
I'm sorry. me and React, we always joke about the Pornhub beat. Like that guy, whoever produced that beat he's living large right now because he's got like $1 million. Right.
As long as he handled his business.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did, but it's okay. But I hope he did. But yeah, man. I mean, man, like every time I click on to a K-Fresh beat, I'm just like, man, here we go with the slaps. Oh, speaking of which. There go the layers. As my man Kelsey from Overlord would say, the seepage.
This shit's crazy.
Oh my god. So real quick, what are you using now? What equipment are you using? Go to.
My sequencer is Reason, and then I basically use Reason how I used to use Pro Tools. So I run everything through Reason, and I use my MPC as my main source of drums, either my XL or my MPC Live. It just depends on, like what sound I'm trying to get. That's kind of how I determine my workflow. But lately, it's been more just audio than it is MIDI.
So Reason slaving everything?
Are you sequencing in Reason?
Yeah, I'm sequencing in Reason, but it's only audio. So I got a deep mind, like I'm getting all my sounds from my deep mind, or I got a rolling Gaia, and so I chop the samples, use my drums, all of that, put that in as audio, and then just layer with everything else audio, and then I might use like Complete to add some stuff to it. It just depends on the workflow, what I'm trying to do.
I have a thing with keyboards and triggering keyboard samples with
This guy.
what React? What the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
No.
I remember you got on me one time for. You can't wrap your head around it. Pause.
No, just like do you trigger your samples? Do you your samples on your keyboard or on your MP? Are you hitting the pads or versus the keys?
Pads most of the time, but if I'm using Serato sample, it's the keys.
But yeah, because you have more range, right?
Yeah,
more than
because if I'm using Serato sample, then man, you end up with 30 chops.
That's right, 32. I spoke to shouts to DJ Static. Like I said, like still even with Serato sample, shouts to OP, good look, especially with the stems.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Serato sample, I still use my I still use the 16s on my all I need is 16. Like you really use it all those pads, bruh?
It depends. Like I wouldn't say that I use it all, but I at least chop the sample that much, and then see what I get from it. And I wouldn't say that all 32 chops are gonna end up in the beat, unless I'm layering it. I just get the perfect amount of. I don't think it's ever happened. No,
32 is a lot. I told Static, I'm like, that 32. He was like, yo, I use all of them. That's what Static said. I was like,
that's 2 banks right there.
Yeah,
because if you're grabbing everything from the sample, if you're grabbing the drums and the sounds and a couple stabs, you could definitely use that many.
Man, I guess. Man. Oh man. So sound design, kits, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got some kits on your website too.
Speak to that, man.
It started with just giving cats my sounds that I sampled on my MPC 2000, because at the time I knew that the majority of the sounds on the internet were coming from sounds on the internet. And I was like, well, I came up at a time where you had to sample your sounds from records and, like make your own sounds. So my first couple of kits were just my sounds. I just took all of my sounds off of my disc from my MPC, and I ran them in Reason, processed them a little bit more, and made them waves and made the kits out of there. But more recently, since I started doing sound design for Cymatics, it gave me the idea to just keep making kits. So I started buying different instruments. I started buying a bunch of percussions, and I'm a drummer, so I'm like, why are you not making drum breaks? Like, cats are putting out drum breaks. Why are you not playing the drums? You know how to play the drums. So that's kind of been where I'm at now.
I love the name of the packs too. Slap Yo Mama, Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slap your mom 5 times.
I need a couple bass kicks in your snares. That's all. Yeah. I'm happy with it.
$30, Buster. Go ahead.
No, I know. Hey man, I spent $50 on his music today because
DM me. I'm about to finish up this Boom Bap Gold Volume 2. I'll send it over.
Look at that. Look at that. Membership has its privileges. Yeah. Holy shit. But you know what? Real talk. Like, very important message to everybody. Buy the music. Just buy the music. Own it.
That's right.
It's what we always did.
Yeah. Well, just put it in perspective. Every producer that comes on the show, we buy the shit. We don't ask them to send music.
No.
It's just out of gratuity and out of like just being in the business. Like, we know what's up. You know what I mean? So yeah, go buy the shit. Stop streaming.
Yeah, I want to own it. Like, I want to own it. I want to, and I play the shit. Like, we do.
Absolutely.
We're going to start doing beats for friends on Twitch.
On our Twitch channel.
Yeah. So, I buy this shit, man. Like, it's the craziest thing to me. Like, the internet's the gift and the curse because we have the access to access the music, but I still, as you see, like I buy records and I still buy albums. Same. It's very important that you people you buy the music. This is our livelihoods. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very important, and I can't stress it enough.
I did want to ask you one thing. On your website, you have a little guide for people to purchase about the simple steps to getting started and making sustainable income selling your music online. Where did that come from? Was that just something that you feel like you needed to give back, to the people that are just starting to make music?
It started as the beginning of my newer curriculum. So because with the beat making program, I wrote a curriculum because we had to be able to target at-risk youth with substance abuse. And so my program is centered around basically what they call a pro-social activity, and being able to make it exist within that space, I had to make a curriculum that kind of tied it into like music as type of music therapy type of thing. So when we were about to do the online thing, I had to write a curriculum and present it to see if we could get funding for it. And so I was just writing a lot of stuff, just coming up with different ideas. And I started pulling some of that stuff into an ebook because I didn't end up using it. And I was like, well, at the time, again, it's COVID, trying to figure out different ways to make a little extra bread. So I was like, let's make a ebook. And it didn't come out for a long time because I still was like I'm an overthinker. So I was overthinking it for a long time, and it took a minute to actually put it out. But I went ahead and I sent it out to a couple of people, and they was like, yo, this is good. And so I let it fly.
Changing lives. Period.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us. I mean, I had an out. I had sports and I had music, and both of them saved me. Once again, my brother, Seth Marcel, because his Nana had a place. She had an apartment, not an apartment, but she had a house, and we were all there. She kept us off the streets. I mean, it was, and it was in the hood. It was like literally a block away from one of the hottest areas in the hood. But we were just sitting there creating, and she let us do it. It's almost like what you're doing, getting these kids off the streets, man. And come on, man, music is the gateway. It's the conduit to everything, man. I believe it is, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing for me. The cat that I mentioned, Will, he's the first cat to like really grab me. I was a knucklehead, bro. I was out here acting a complete fool, and he's the cat that would be like, what, like, get off the corner. You can come to the crib. Like, I got a keyboard. Like, you're one of the best rappers. You know what I'm saying? Just come over here and make some music with us. That really was a pivotal moment because I could have been really doing some other stuff. And I mean, I was still acting a fool like for years beyond that. You know what I mean? I had to sit down. A couple of the homies had to sit down. Like, this is a whole nother part of the story that definitely links music and my life pivoting into a different direction, and what influenced me, and the reason why I'm so passionate about being that mentor in the program that I'm in.
Man, that's wonderful, man. I mean, salute to you, man. Your worth, I mean, like, I always, music wise, you're dope, but just this segment alone, man, like, I have so much found great respect for that, man, and respect for you, because you've taken your negatives and turned it to positive, man, and then you're paying it forward, man, to these kids. It's changing lives, period.
Yeah,
it really is, man. It is. Are we gonna catch all of them? No, we might not catch all of them, but you're definitely gonna touch one of them. You know what I'm saying? And then that one, you might catch that one, and then that one's going to be touching somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I believe in that with music, man. I do, man. So salute to you, man.
Appreciate
What's the 25-8 stand for on your hat?
Overachieving. Yep. It's that simple.
Fire.
I like typography, man, and like
Where'd
I
you
really
get
be
that?
messing with typography, and so like I got a little sketchbook, and I'll just be writing certain things. So like everything that you see on my merch is like something that I've tagged in my sketchbook, and if it looks good in typography, I'll put it on something. And if people start asking, like where can I get it, then I'll throw it up on the shop.
Is it on your shop?
This specific one is not on there, but there's another 25/8.
He's flexing on us. Flexing on us, React.
The Feed the Soul, Starve the Ego sweater is super fire. Here's your reminder that you're doing great is also super fire.
I love that too.
Yeah. He's got the mug. He's got the Fresh Beatmaker t-shirt. Yeah. Some dope merch.
Appreciate
I'm about to cop a couple stuff tonight.
Can we get into one of these records though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please. My God.
You hear the church and these shits.
The emotion. Yeah. I need that snare though. You had to run that snare fresh. Man, that snare. Is space important? Not clutter, or I know a lot of producers that like to just go crazy and be like, when you post, are you shopping your music and it's very, do you believe in space with the music?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to the sample based stuff, I'm trying to make sure that the textures stay the way they need to stay, and a lot of times, like, I'll play with different ideas, they just won't make it when I'm done. If it does get to a point where an artist is going to be on it, yeah, I definitely feel like that space needs to be there. I guess when I'm listening back to it, it's just making sure there's a sound that doesn't annoy me more than anything. Like, sometimes certain shit just, it's like, this is annoying. Move that. Like, get it out of there. And I think
Right.
it's going to be a 30-second clip, maybe 45 seconds. So a lot of times what you hear when I post it, you didn't hear the whole beat. So there's that too. Which
makes a lot of sense. How many do you post a day?
One.
Like, what's the formula, man? I mean, like, you got 100,000+ followers. I mean,
wow.
This is where I would say, like, give me some secret sauce. But then Eddie's going to be like, yo, pause that shit. But
how'd you reel them in?
In the beginning, it was really to just be consistent. It wasn't really a formula to it. It was, post every day, because I wanted to grow my account. I wanted to get it to a point where people were paying attention. In the beginning, nobody cared. So I was like, just keep going. Just keep posting. And stop looking at the numbers. I think at first it was nobody's paying attention. I'm not getting any numbers. And then it was just like, stop worrying about that, because it's not really about the numbers. At the end of the day, it's about conversion. Once I got to a point where people were actually paying attention and I started hitting, 100 likes and, 5,000 followers and all of these little vanity metrics that ultimately didn't mean nothing, it just stopped being about that. It was just like, be consistent and let's try to get conversion. Like, can we get people to buy the drum packs? Can we get people to buy beats? Can we get people to buy merch? Like, even I've gotten so many different DMs from like industry people, and it's like, even that to me, it's like, all right, like, what does that do? So it's just really being consistent and making sure that I challenge myself to put content out on a consistent basis and get the conversion.
I love that, because
that's great, man.
Yeah, that's amazing. I told React maybe a while ago, we just need to be consistent, and that's what you just said. We
do need people to go to manscaped.com and use the code TheChopShop. You get 20% off.
Yeah,
ball razors.
I say it all the time. The music's gonna age well. It will age well. It's incredible. So what's next for Kuddie?
in the last, I want to say like 6 months, I've been working with Rock the Bells. So if you guys follow Rock the Bells, the majority of the campaigns that they've been doing, all of that's over my beats. So I've been contracted with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been contracted with them for like the last 6 months.
How about that? LL was one of your influences, and now you're
he's gonna check
placement.
And he found me on Instagram.
See that?
Word.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Queens.
Yeah. LL, he had his team reach out to me, and it was like, we want to do a licensing deal with you.
Oh,
that's amazing.
That's dope. That's dope. You had to give L some of them slappers though.
Life really comes full circle, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I've been doing that, and more sync opportunities that I've been talking, but ain't nothing came out yet. But look out for it. And then sound design.
Yeah, go buy them drum packs, people.
We'll have them posted. Link in description.
Yeah, put the link in the show description, all that shit.
Yeah, we'll have it all posted and everything on our page.
I got one more question.
Yeah.
Where did the drop come from?
It came from a song.
It's hilarious.
It's in one of my verses.
Really?
Yep. It's just I just cut out this little part in one of my verses in a song I did with the Parker Brothers.
Oh shit. So that's you? That's actually you doing the drop?
Yep, that's me.
Oh
shit.
Yeah, that's fire. That's
fire. Funny, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's great.
The name Kuddie. Is Kid Kuddie after you?
Nah, actually, I was Kuddie before Kid Kuddie. I've been Kuddie since I was 18 years old.
Take that, Kid Kuddie, with your tight ass, whatever. Day and night tight.
Kid see ghost ass motherfucker.
Right. So from your cousin?
Yep. My cousin Candid, which is the same guy who introduced me to vitamin D.
This is why I love doing this, man. Thank you, DJ React, for getting me involved in this, man, because I'm having fun.
And thank you, man, Kuddie. Thank you, bro.
Yes.
Thank you. And like you said,
I appreciate it.
I really appreciate it because you said about 10 minutes ago, you get, a slew of DMs from all these industry dudes. And like I said, I was like, man, this motherfucker ain't going to answer me. There's no way he's going to answer me. And sure enough, you're a very humble dude, man. And we appreciate you coming on the show, for real.
Yeah,
keep doing what you're doing.
I'm a person.
Absolutely. And that's super important. That's super important now. So.
No, it is.
We appreciate it.
And I always say to each and every person, it's so much better when you're just a real dude and a good person, because we not fucking with assholes. Period. Like, there's a couple out there, and I don't care about that. I don't care how dope their music is. Your shit is inspiring. Period. Buy his music, people.
Appreciate it.
For real.
There's a slapper. Ooh,
oh yeah. Ooh, run that. Yeah, that snare too. I need that too. Oh man. Woo.
How many joints a day you pump out now? 2, 3?
It depends.
Or is this just stuff that you have like in the art? I mean, well, this is an older record, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you sit, I mean.
It depends. I try to knock out at least one a day. Like that's the goal, is to always make something, depending on what my day is looking like. If I'm sitting in here all day, I'll probably knock out 3 to 5 before I burn out and need to do something else.
Right.
I'm getting older, so this chair be putting work in on my body now.
Yeah, man, this has been great, man. Kuddie Fresh, Kfresh, we really appreciate you coming on the Chop Shop.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.